Hey, what's up? Okay, so I wanted to make a video where I explain, as best I can, um, my, I don't want to call it a system, but I guess it's a system of how I approach improvising and like playing inside and outside, right? Um, so I have this system, basically, I call it the three true key centers, right? Um, and basically it's based off of like diminished chords, right? So everybody knows there's four fully diminished chords, one based on C, C sharp, D, and then if you went to E flat, it'd be the same as C. There's three, right? And whatever notes of those pairings you want to start on is one thing, but everybody knows this. Everybody who went to music theory school knows this. It's basic stuff, right? Shouldn't be that. I don't think I need to belabor that. So um, I got this from listening to Coltrane, sort of. It's not really. I don't know if he did anything like this because he was more. He was. It's one thing. He was more interested in like the major third relations. I think. I mean, he probably was really interested in minor thirds as well. But everybody knows his work with like Giant Steps and Countdown and some of those other songs. It started. I was listening to his Atlantic recordings, specifically Coltrane Sound and My Favorite Things. And on Favorite Things, he has that version of But Not For Me, where he puts Coltrane changes over the A sections. And I thought that was so cool. I started learning that tune, and I just loved how he could make those moves. And what I liked also about that recording too is, if you listen to Giant Steps and Countdown a year earlier, from like 59, those songs are very good and very well performed, but it is kind of like a technical thing he's doing, and it's not like overly melodic. He's still working out like patterns. He's playing a lot of patterns, on those. He's playing all these patterns. But on the later recordings, like on But Not For Me, or even like Satellite, or 26-2, he has these like little melodic fragments he plays, and it sounds so nice. And I like how he could just like move around and make these moves. And eventually he would start doing some things like that on modal tunes. And I love the way he does that too. He could go in any direction. And I wanted to develop my own way of doing that. I didn't want to copy his. I wanted to do my own. So I was like, how can I figure out ways to make it around the circle, very quickly, very efficiently? So I started thinking about, minor thirds. I started thinking about playing these patterns and these transposed ideas like up minor thirds. Like I would take all four minor thirds that go together, and I would play like a pattern symmetrically. So I'd play. I ran out of room there. Right? You can move around, and it sounds really cool. And I was trying to do it in a way that has some rhythmic and melodic interest, right? But what I realized very quickly, and also one thing I should say too, is a lot of this has to do with like what feels good to play on the saxophone. It's a very subjective system because some things just feel really nice under the fingers. Some areas feel a little bit better to play than others, and that's just the fact of life. No matter how much we practice, certain keys don't feel as good as C major or F major or G major on the saxophone. But, making certain moves is also very satisfying, and that's part of it too. But I started doing the minor third thing, and I came to a realization that because these three, because within each three of these, there's like four tonalities, right? So let's say you're in one group, which is the one that's C, E flat, G flat, and A. That's four tonalities. That's like four dominants, right? All four of those dominants can go to any one of the, can resolve to like anywhere in the group that is kind of related to it, right? It's like if I was going to draw it, it'd be a triangle connected with three circles, right? You have one, it doesn't matter where you start, but you'd have the group A. Let's say group A is C, one that starts on C, E flat, G flat, and A. you can go from there, you can go by way of like a regular resolution to the one that starts on F, A flat, B, or D, because all the dominants in this one that starts on C, can go to any of those chords in the one that starts on F, right? And conversely, you can go the opposite way, because you can go like the backdoor way, like the minor 4 way, going around like, you know, how like the minor 4 resolves to the 1. You can do the same thing. You can go from C to the one that starts on, you know, go from the one that starts on C to the one that starts on, what would the other one be? So F. I'm thinking here. So you have C, the other one would have started on B, the other one would be B flat, right? So you have, you know, C, B, and B flat. The one that has B flat has, B flat, E, G, and D flat, right? So you can kind of go back and forth between these, because, you know, C is the plagal of G, right? G's in there. And C is the dominant regular resolution of F. And, you know, once you realize that, you can do anything. You can have this rotating series of chromatic kind of cycles, and you can go in any direction you want at any time. And the best thing to do is really not to think about it, but what I'll do is I'll practice just moving through that and creating like sounds that I like. So I'm just going to start on a random one. I'm going to start on A, and I'm going to move. Sometimes I'm going to move by minor thirds, but sometimes I'm going to do like a resolution, right? Sometimes I might go from, like, let's say if I went from A to C to F, and then went from F to A flat to D flat, right? Like I could do that. Right, you can do that. It almost sounds like giant steps, almost. And you can get all these different cycles out of it, and it's really kind of crazy. It really helped me realize that music is easy. It's very simple. You know, you have these 3, like I said, the 3 true key centers, and they can all kind of pop, pop, pop. You know, you can resolve to any one of them, however you want. You know, this video isn't very in depth, but and I'm probably rambling a little bit, but I'm still trying to figure out how to explain it myself. And like I said, a lot of it just has to do with like what feels good to play. So I could play a tune. Like, let's say I'm playing "You're a Weaver of Dreams." So by the time I got there, I'd gone all over the place. I was playing, you know, F sharp to F a little bit. I was playing like A. I was playing like an A7 sound on like a G7, where I was supposed to be playing like the secondary dominant. And it just kind of works, you know, and it helps you create things that aren't immediately obvious, right? Like everybody, to me, just doing a regular like tritone substitution, like going from, like if you're going from, you know, C to F, and you just play like F sharp, you know, you could play this sound, right? The altered sound, right? Landing on the F major. Just doing that, to me, that's not outside. That's inside. That is very inside, because those are related to each other. But let's say you wanted to do something weird, like go from G to F. You know, that's not a move that you normally would do, but you can make it. You just have to believe hard enough. So if you started on like D flat 7 to F, right? D flat 7 to F. How are those related? That's not something you normally think of, but they're related because D flat is the tritone of G, and those keys are related to, they come from the same diminished as E and B flat. And B flat is the 4 of F, so it has a plagal motion to it. So you can play a D flat 7 or a G7 going to F, and it kind of works depending on how you do it, you know? So like if I was going to play, you know, just like a 2-5. Let me actually think about this before I do it. Well, let me just play a little bit and I'll make it work, right? So let's say I'm starting from like a diatonic position. Like let's say I'm starting from going from C to F, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to the G, D flat set instead, right? So let's say I'm going to do that. So I might start by playing like a bebop lick. Right? I wasn't playing like the whole sequence, but I just kind of popped into that key and popped back out by just because I knew it, just because I knew like what felt right to move to. And this is part of the subjective thing of like certain things just feel interesting to play, right? Like that to me, I really like playing this shape here, which is like a dominant pentatonic scale. I'll play that, and that's a big part of it too, is using pentatonics and using small note groupings and all these kind of things that are not like necessarily linear. And you can like, let's say you're at the end of a tune, like you're at the end of a blues, and you want to like delay the resolution all the way back to 1. This is a great way to do it. So let's say you're playing B flat blues. Kind of ran out of air there, but I don't even know what I was doing there. I wasn't even really thinking about anything. It was just kind of moving around, like I said, subjectively based on what felt good, and kind of adhering to a little bit of these sequences. But I've never sat down and been like, oh, how do I make, you know, D flat 7 resolve to F by doing like whatever. It's more like trying to teach yourself to hear different movements, different ways of getting around the horn, piano, whatever. Because you know, you can go anywhere from anywhere. Music, there's no law that says everything always has to be this way or that way. And it might sound weird sometimes. You might be playing with a band and they're playing, you know, It's You or No One or something. One of these tunes that I play, and they play it in a very rigid, kind of traditional way. But it might sound interesting to do it that way. So there's all kind of different choices. I hit my D key on accident. But anyway, that's about it. It's something I'm still working on, but it's sort of how I get around a little bit, basically, and how I kind of let myself become liberated from just playing the changes all the time. And this is a good thing to play when you're like on the third chorus of a tune. You know, you've played all your diatonic ideas and even some of your like regular substitutions. You just start playing some of this kind of random sounding stuff. As long as you know how to pop it back into where you're supposed to be going, it'll work every time. Cool.